Hello, everyone. If you're here and you're just logging in, feel free to come on over to the chat box and just say hi. Tell me where you're calling in from today. I'm so excited to have you guys here. So we still have a few more minutes before we start. So if you're here and just logging on now, come on over to the chat box and come say hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. If you're just logging in, we have a few more minutes. So while you're waiting, just go over to the little chat box icon, if you can find it. It should be over on the right-hand side of your screen. And just say hi. Tell me what your name is. Tell me where you guys are calling in from today or watching in from. I know we have quite a few people in different time zones, different areas. We've got a really big call today. Yes, I want to know. So come say hi in the chat box if you're just getting here. We have a few minutes. Just introduce yourself. Tell me where you're located. It's kind of fun to know. Hi, everyone. This is going to be so fun. Thanks for being here early. You guys are my star students already. Okay, we got more and more people logging in. So if you've never done a webinar like this before, just pop over to the little chat box on the right-hand side of your screen just to make sure you can hear, you can see. You should be able to see this first title slide that says how to eat and be healthier without trying so hard. And if you, and just come say hi in the little chat box. Tell us where you're calling in from. It's kind of fun to see everybody. Awesome. Awesome. I'm so glad you guys are here. So we have just another minute or so before we're going to jump in. Can everybody see and hear? Yes. Awesome. Oh, this is so fun. I'm so excited, you guys. It's going to be like the best little hour and 15 minutes of your life. Cool. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Okay. Here we go. Okay, everybody can see. You guys can all hear. Amazing, amazing. Okay, so it's officially 12 o'clock. We are going to jump in right now. So hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm so excited that you're on this call today. We have so much good stuff that we're going to jump into and cover. If this is your first time doing a webinar like this, I just want you to pop over to the chat box and say hi. Just tell us where you're sitting in from, calling in from, whether it's the office. I want to know where in the world you're located. I know we even have a couple people like internationally, I think, calling in today. So just say hi. It's super fun to just kind of see where everyone is. So if you have questions at any point along this presentation and as we get into things, just make sure you type it in the chat box. And then at the very end, I'll be able to kind of go back through and make sure you guys have all of your questions answered. So just to get you familiar with it, that's the best way to ask questions. Instead of using like the raise your hand feature, just type it in the chat box. That way everybody can see and we can kind of keep track of what's going on. So, okay, cool. Everyone can see, everyone can hear. You should be able to see this first like title slide. Yeah, awesome. Okay, love it, love it. Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to this midday little inspirational session and free workshop. I know that you guys are all busy people and I want to make sure this is more than worth your time today. So just a few things to know before we start out. This is going to be an hour and 15-minute webinar. So I packed it so full of so many tips and takeaways. So definitely grab a pen and some paper or have your little notepad open on your computer. You're definitely going to want to use it. And then I know how distracting it can be, like especially this time of day, but make sure whatever you have to do, close your door. If you're in your office, if you're at home, like put your phone away, just kind of close out your browsers. That's actually going to enhance your experience much faster. The slides will go faster. You won't get any sort of breakups in the communication. So little secret tip right there. And then stay tuned till the very end because I have something special for you guys that are here today in our lives. So it's a special little bonus. So you don't want to cut out early for sure. If you have any questions along the way, like I said, type them in the chat box and I'll be more than happy to answer them. When we get to the end, we should have a few minutes left for some question and answer. So more than happy to do that. So today, what you're going to learn is some pretty juicy stuff. We're going to talk about 3 ways to simplify your food that will forever change your life, pretty much. 3 of the biggest mistakes that so-called healthy eaters make that sabotage their progress. And the #1 way to weed through any food noise and confusion so you can finally get clear once and for all. So before we get started, I just wanted to share a little bit more about me and my own journey and story. So if you've just started following Simply Real Health, you may have seen my work featured in a lot of different places around town and nationally too. So I am a nutrition coach, a healthy lifestyle expert, a real food lover, and owner of Simply Real Health, which is a blog, a book, and a full lifestyle company. I created it to help people live a healthier life made simple. The mission of Simply Real Health is to really just educate and teach and inspire others to take action in their lives, however big or small, and to also bring sort of a clarity and simplicity to food so that people can be their healthiest, happiest version of themselves. Because I think when that happens, everybody can give their gifts better to others and to the rest of the world too. So food is actually that big of a deal and that important to a process that has so much more meaning and depth. So thank you so much for being here today. I really mean it, to invest your time and yourself into learning more about food and how to make this healthy living stuff less complicated, less confusing, less crazy, and way more doable in daily life. Because everything elevates when you're able to do this. And I know that you are all here today coming from like slightly different places in your own journey to figure this stuff out so you can kind of just get on with your life, right? I get it. It can be a totally crazy journey for sure. So I hope that this 1 hour and 15-minute session will start to give you some of that like pure, really, really good clarity. So before we jump in, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about my own story with food because I think you'll start to see how this can kind of relate and how I probably know exactly how you're feeling right now. So for me, food and being healthy has always been this weird passion for me. I was such a strange child, even from like a really young age. I like literally read every nutrition book and diet book for fun and even started working out when I was like probably 12 years old. I was always like trying these new things and trying to come up with the most perfect, ideal way to eat, like to have it all figured out. Although it wasn't long, probably like early high school, that my like so-called healthy eating and my like curiosity around being healthy started to become not really healthy at all. I actually started to get kind of rigid with it and a little bit like crazy according to whatever diet or theory I was following at the time, because there were so many and the information just kept changing all the time. So it wasn't like a full eating disorder, but it was just very disordered eating. I literally lived on balance bars because I thought they had a lot of great protein, and Kashi cereal because it had tons of high fiber, and I drank tons of soy milk because I had heard somewhere that regular milk was bad, and I had all of those like healthy snacks like fat-free cookies and like reduced fat wheat thins. That's literally what I existed on, thinking that I was being healthy. But everything was changing all the time, and it was so hard to keep up, even with the new studies and fads. So instead, I just became obsessed with it. I put in like so much effort and so much time and so much money to be and feel healthier, and to, you know, it all came from a good place, really. But yeah, I actually started to feel almost worse, and nothing really changed about me or my body, which was so frustrating. So I would just try harder. I would be more strict and more crazy about it. And all in all, I had this like horrible relationship to food, even when I was really young, but I didn't even know it yet. However, all of that changed when I went to Italy. So this is super embarrassing, you guys. I'm sharing with you a picture on the left side of the screen is me when I went to Italy. I was about 15 pounds heavier, right? You can just like see it. I was having a great time. But so I went to Italy my junior year of college. That was me right then. It was a trip I was so nervous to take because I thought for sure I would just get fat. Like all of that pizza, all of that pasta, and like gelato and wine, and definitely no gym. I knew it would be like this daily battle just to not gain weight. But when I was there, I started to notice something really weird, that the Italian women, like, they didn't work out at all. How are they not fat? And not only were they not fat, they were like amazing. They were like beautiful and put together, and they were like calmly enjoying their wine and pasta and their salad without any rush and without any of the crazy like American lady way of looking at food. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? Have any of you ever like traveled to other places and you like realize how people are so calm about food, and they like take their time, they like actually enjoy talking to other people, and like they're not, you can tell there's no panic in their eyes. There's no like worrying about like counting calories or carbs. I just started to notice that, and I was like, oh my God, I don't think I've ever had a meal like that in my life, where I wasn't thinking or secretly calculating or, you know, doing some of the other like tips and tricks I had learned like in the American way of eating healthy. So I would just kind of stare and watch them, kind of like a total creep. Like they were laughing with their friends and just eating, and they never looked deprived. They were never counting or monitoring anything, and they definitely never ever looked guilty about any of the choices that they were making. It was like wild. I had like never ever seen anything like that in my life. So when I came home, having like finally given in to their way of eating, I became obsessed. Again, are you guys noticing a common theme? I became obsessed with figuring out the differences between our food here and their food there, because there was obviously something so different. And what I found, even in those initial few months, was crazy. I mean, literally, you guys, everything I thought I was doing right, every study I had read, every book I had read, turned out to be wrong. And after going back to school for nutrition, working in the field for like quite a few years, I became even more drawn to like this concept of real food. I made the transition to eating all real food. And before I knew it, like there's like 8 to 10 pounds that were so hard for me to lose, I was slaving away for, were gone, and my sugar cravings and headaches and my constant hunger was too. So with that, my life kind of started to shift, and everything started to make a little bit more sense. And I knew that I was onto something big, not only with food, but also like my mentality, my actual like overall happiness and my energy and my daily moods too. I never realized how bad I felt before until I started eating real food, and then until I started to feel better. So when I started Simply Real Health, it was the mission of teaching people how to live a healthier life, much more in this style. So without all of the confusion and the constant barrage of diet information and fads that tended to change, that I wanted to share with people that there's this way of eating healthier without trying so hard that made so much more sense. And it was so opposite everything I had ever been taught. And I was somebody who was paying attention, right? So that my true mission became to educate people about what healthy food actually is, and to teach them how to make it work in their real life, and to inspire others to see how easy it can actually be to accomplish all of these things. So let's start right from the beginning of where this like whole thing started. This is the biggest glaring problem, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who has ever been confused or frustrated by food, right? Okay, here's probably why. This is like the truth. You guys will soon learn. I'm so like all just about the truth. Like, let's just have real talk, okay? Here, just for a minute. So the truth here is that we actually grow up, most of us in the US, we never ever learn how to eat in just like normal, real, everyday life. We never get taught a way to eat that's not biased. All we know and all we learn are through the lens of specific diets or through marketing. So when you think about this, so like through diets, let's say, so diets ultimately, yeah, they're created to help us, but you know what they actually do? Usually the opposite. They make us confused and crazy. Diets have these like things where they categorize things into like good food and bad food, or yes food and no food, or they have these like very black and white rules around food, which we can totally do, right? We actually, as humans, we love that, we crave that. We're like, just give us the rules, right? And we'll know how to follow it, and then we can do it. But the problem is that it only works for a short amount of time. You know why? Because this is like, there is nothing that is in real life that's actually conducive to living life on a diet. Because living life on a diet means like you can kind of live in a bubble, right? If you don't ever have to go out, if you never go to dinner with friends, if you never have happy hour, if you never travel, if you never do anything except you cook all your own food from scratch every single day of your life, then sure, you can live on a diet. But for the rest of us, it's actually really hard, especially when we're not wanting to miss out on like the good parts of life too. Like you want to participate, you want to celebrate, you want to go to friends' birthdays, and you want to be able to like, you know, celebrate and enjoy your life because life is short. And that's actually why I think diets don't work, because you go from these very, very extreme places to being really, really good, to then really, really bad whenever some real life event comes up that you want to participate in. We never actually learn how to navigate through the real world while being healthy, but not being super strict and rigid. So when you have these wild swings from like being really, really good to then, oh, I want to go like to a football game. Oh, I want to go tailgate. Oh, I want to go to, or it's my birthday, or I want to have like a piece of cake to celebrate this, or, you know, the holidays are coming up. Being on a strict plan doesn't work because oftentimes it just backfires. And the day that you do something bad or something in the no category or something that's outside of the rules, you're kind of like, oh, well, I already messed up, right? Maybe I'll just go like another day. I'll get back to it on Monday. And then like a week can turn into 2 weeks, turns into like months at a time. And then you can kind of see how you start to, over the course of a year, you could go from being in places, you know, doing really, really well, being really healthy, to then also just as equally as many dips and times and places where you feel horrible. And then you have the guilt added, right? That you like failed on the plan, that you can't follow through, that you have no willpower. All of these things really just mean that like diets actually contribute to having a very like negative and rigid relationship to food. And it doesn't really have to be that way, right? So this is mistake number one. When I was talking about this, like the mistakes that healthy eaters make is like doing diets, really. It really encourages such a negative relationship to food and doesn't help you actually figure out how to navigate all the fun parts of life with being healthy and feeling energized and awesome. So there's a way to do it that's much more in this land of gray, right? But none of us ever learn this because no diet ever teaches that. The second way that we learn about food is through marketing. Right? So marketing is what I would define as like what we learn from the media. So it could be through books or magazines or different documentaries or talk shows or Pinterest about like what to eat. So like whatever Dr. Oz is doing or Oprah's doing, or hey, there's this new paleo thing, or my neighbor's a vegan, or my friend said she's like being a vegetarian and trying to eat less meat. These things are based on studies that keep changing, right? So the biggest way to tell if a food you're eating is actually being marketed to you as opposed to it actually being healthy, right? Because there can be a difference, are these things called buzzwords, right? And this is like the number one way to determine like whether something's actually being pitched to you. So like a lot of these buzzwords could be like fat-free and low calorie and low fat, high fiber, now with vitamins A, C, E, and D. This one has 3 servings of fruit. This one has 100% whole grain. This is organic. This is gluten-free. This is low sodium. This one has high protein. You know how it's almost like, it's like shouting almost. Like imagine walking down the aisle of the, you know, like the cereal aisle in the grocery store. It's literally like shouting, right? All of these things, all of these words that we've picked up somewhere, like, ooh, I know I should have more fiber. Ooh, yeah, I think that this is organic. Okay, that means it's good for me, right? So we're kind of grasping at these words that we picked up, who knows where, right? And that's how we base whether we're like, oh yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in my cart, right? So here is something, like the thing that's actually missing here is that we just get so like wrapped up in all of these things, the latest fad, the buzzwords, the diets, the confusion, you know, we end up like getting exhausted just by trying to be healthy. I don't know if anybody else like feels this way sometimes, but it can be like a full-time job to just try and eat healthy and do what's good for you so that you can have this life that's a little bit more vibrant and alive feeling. But what ends up happening is that a lot of us just get confused and tired and frustrated, and we spend so much money on this. We spend so much time. We have these like really bad relationships to food because of it, and really low energy and just feeling kind of like blah all the time. So the thing that we're missing is like this, when we're only taught about food through the lens of marketing or through the lens of diets, we're missing that basic general education, which leads to we don't have any sort of freedom or clarity or happiness with food. We are like totally bogged down by it. I would say most of us, right? I know we're all at different points in this journey listening in today, but most of us, we really don't have any clarity, freedom, or happiness with food. So the good news, though, is that it doesn't necessarily have to be like this. Literally, like all you have to do is just learn how to eat. And I know that sounds so ridiculous, but it's actually really simple. And there's a way to do it too without relying on diets or marketing. And that's what I wanted to start and really teach you guys today, just giving you a better filter for this, of all of this mess and confusion, so that you don't have to deal with it anymore. It makes life so much more enjoyable. So let's start out. Really high level, there are 3 different types of food out there, okay? There is real food, which we're going to talk about more in a minute. There is processed food, and then there is what I call processed health food. So with real food, that's what everything like I do in Simply Real Health, every client I teach, every program I run, everything I talk about, the entire cookbook is based on real food. And what real food is food that has basically existed since the 1900s, right? Like forever. It's foods that, grow from the ground or they come from an animal. It's just like your most basic, simple, normal, natural, like the most beautiful foods, the way they've always existed. Oftentimes they don't even have a label on them at all. So think about that, like the most pure real foods, the healthiest foods out there for you, rarely have marketing and buzzwords on them, right? You never see an apple that's like high fiber and low calorie and cheap, even though it is, right? So it's starting to make that distinction between like, is this marketing or is this like actually true nutrient dense food that is maybe not so sexy and not so marketed, but truly like has so much more to offer. So real food is also usually one word, right? So like when you're looking at what's on your plate, you should be able to answer it in one word. Like, what is it? This is a potato. This is steak. This is avocado, right? This is tomato. Totally not sexy. But they're things that like kids can even recognize and know what those things are. It's just really that simple. It's so widely available. Any grocery store, any country that you visit has a base in real food. Oftentimes it just takes a little bit of like digging around to maybe find it. So the next category on the opposite end of the spectrum is processed food, which I just call like junk food, crap food, basically also like gas station food. Like imagine that, anything in a gas station I would usually consider that to be processed food. So it's like the Cheetos, the Oreos, the snack food, the packaged cookies, the candy, etc. People eat it because they like the taste of it or are addicted to it, which, side note, that's a real thing. If you didn't know that, it's a real thing. You should Google the word super flavors. They're chemicals that get injected into these processed foods to coat your taste buds so that you actually can't taste anything but those chemicals. And then that's what keeps you addicted and going back for more. It's crazy. It's so disturbing. For the most part, I'm not really going to focus on this piece today because I think most of us, especially if you're here, you know that some carrots would be a better snack than Oreos, right? If you're still on that level, then we might need to go back like to some basics first to help more of these things make sense. But I think most of you are in this place. You kind of already know that, right? The more confusing place that I find that most people get stuck are actually looking at like helping people distinguish between real food and processed health food. So this is the third category. So this is literally what I existed on for like so many years of my life. Like literally, I would eat that Kashi Goleen cereal every single day and a Balance bar every single day and the soy milk and the granola bars. Because at the time, that's what was being taught. That's what was, you know, everything was fat-free. Everything was about fiber. Everything was about, you know, going vegan or having less meat in your life. So I was just so easily swayed by all of that marketing. This is the category that causes the biggest problem for people and the most confusion. It has marketing and buzzwords galore. Food companies literally manufacture products so that they fit a certain diet, and it's whatever diet is cool at the time. So if they know that people are looking for high fiber or looking for high protein or looking for low carb, they can literally reverse engineer foods so that they get the right components. But we never even learn or think to look at, like, what did they have to do to get it like that, right? It's sort of a really weird thing when you think about food that is manufactured and created in like chemical labs and plants, chemical plants, I mean, versus things that like grow from the ground or are totally normal or come from some sort of animal, right? So this is like, what starts to happen is this is where we get confused and overwhelmed and frustrated and wasting like all of our like most valuable things, right? So the thing that I think will hopefully help you, this is the number one thing of what you can start to do to change things. So there's only one way to tell whether you can like and start to identify a real food versus this processed health food. Okay, that's where most people get stuck. So that's where I want to focus today. So the one way to tell is by reading your ingredient label. Okay, so real food are often just a bunch of one-word foods, or they don't have a label at all. Like it's so simple and clean and pure that the amount of time it would take you to read an ingredient label made with real food is going to take you less than 5 seconds, right? If you're reading a label and you're like stumble over words or things sound like chemicals, if you can't pronounce it, if you can't, you know, if you wouldn't know how to make it at home, if there was a recipe, that could all be kind of a sign maybe it's not real food. So you're looking for things that are just simple and normal and natural. Even if the food does have an ingredient label, you just want to turn it over and check it out, right? And just kind of like see what's there. Oftentimes it can be so disturbing and so surprising, especially with brands that you're like, wait, I thought that was their whole thing. I thought this was the healthy version, or I bought this at Whole Foods, or oh my God, but what? This is from Trader Joe's. Okay, none of that matters. All that matters, literally by law, food, like what is in food, it has to be determined in the ingredient label. Legally, all food companies have to do this. So this is the number one thing that you can do to start eating healthier without like paying attention and getting caught up in all the confusion and the marketing and the diets and all this like noise that we have around food. Cut through that so quickly and clearly by just turning it around and looking at the label. If it doesn't have a label at all, it's probably good news, right? It's totally real food. Okay, so I'm not going to spend tons of time talking through these categories, but I just do want to give you guys an example of like all the different things that are, you know, incorporated when we talk about real food. So real food includes fruit, it includes vegetables, beans and legumes, it includes nuts and different types of seeds, it includes dairy, it includes eggs, it includes grains and meat and poultry and seafood and fish, and good quality healthy fats and natural sweeteners. So with the healthy fats and natural sweeteners, I'll just say the good quality healthy fats like means like good cooking oil, means like organic extra virgin olive oil, it means unrefined organic extra virgin coconut oil for high heat, and then also includes organic grass-fed butter. And then the natural sweeteners would be blackstrap molasses, raw honey, and maple syrup. So all of the recipes, if you are a follower of the blog or you have the cookbook, all of the recipes are usually made with those, with all these real foods plus some of the healthy fats or natural sweeteners. So I always get questions about this. So mistake number 2 that I see people make, even when they know what real food is this counting thing of like, I know probably like a lot of you are starting to think like, okay, yeah, like all those real food categories for sure, right? All of these different things. You're like, okay, great. So I can just like eat whatever, however much I want to of each thing and like not measure, not count. Like that doesn't sound right. But here's the thing. this is such a mistake that I see people do, is still trying to calculate different things and saying like, well, what about calories, or insert whatever thing you're used to counting in the diet mentality. What about, fat grams or carbs or protein? I actually think that those things don't matter. They're not helpful. They encourage a really bad relationship to food, and it's not actually a true clear picture of how your body actually processes and uses food. So because food can be manufactured, remember, reverse manufactured to look right on the label, you can have the right number of calories or carbs or protein, but you could be eating total crap, right? You'd be eating totally processed food that's sort of disguised. So your body, though, is so much more complicated than calories in, calories out. Like, food affects you on a hormonal level, on a digestive level, on a blood sugar level, so many different things. So when people like start to think about this, like, why wouldn't calories matter? It's because it's the quality of your food that matters more than anything else, more than its components. This is what like your body knows how to deal with. This is what your body knows how to process. Your body knows exactly what to do with real foods. So, and when you start to do this and start to eat more real foods and incorporate things your body can actually digest and use, and things that are so much more nutrient dense, you just feel better, right? And that's kind of the whole purpose of wanting to eat healthier and wanting to do something like this, is that you feel better. You have more energy and better digestion and better sleep and better moods and just happiness and fewer cravings and less crashing. Like, you just actually need less food overall, right? Your body begins to stabilize. You have, less inflammation. There's less burden on your body. Your taste buds can actually start to change so that you crave real food more. And you can start to like tune in to how your body's feeling, when it's hungry, when it's not hungry, the types of foods that it does best with. It's this sort of like steady, even clarity that starts to permeate the rest of your life, just by clearing out the stuff that is the processed health food, or the processed food, let's say, right? And focusing a little bit more on real food. All of these things start to like happen. And this is actually more normal, right? This is like how most people should feel, is actually this good, without like coffee, without jogging through the day, without needing tons of sugar, without like so many things kind of weighing them down. This is normal, right? So when I started eating like this, I wasn't even aware of how bad I was actually feeling until I started to feel better. Like, how addicted I was to like healthy, sugary snacks, even if they were low calorie, and how much I needed coffee, and how often like I was eating grains, but it was just not great for my body. So the other mistake that I started to make when I started to realize this and think about real food was that I was like thinking that it was all about the food. Like, I could just take real food and basically make it like a diet too. Of like, okay, well, I'll just eat perfectly. And I'll just only eat real food all the time. And I started to make it a diet too. And so for those of you that are a little bit more like advanced in your learning and in your journey of food, I say this just to share it, just in case you're sort of in the same place of like thinking that it's all about the food. And then when you slightly deviate, or when you have things outside of things that are totally pure and totally healthy for you, that you still kind of go down the guilt route, and you still kind of have this, sort of interesting, not super healthy relationship to food. So you could just like, make things a diet in any way, but I would just encourage you to think about, kind of trying to simplify your life and improve your relationship to food by learning about food in a way that is so much more kind of stable and grounded, that you can really take with you no matter where you go. Okay. So before we kind of, I know this is like a lot of information too, especially for some of you if this is your first time. So I just want to give you 3 rules, like sort of like recapping all of this stuff that we just learned about, but like 3 rules to simplify your life, right? So that you can start to put some of this stuff into action, and things that are really going to help your life too. So these are things you can start doing today that can change how you will feel, like even as early as next week. For some people, they notice a huge difference, like even within a couple days of transitioning to real food, to hopefully get to the point where they can start to understand their body a little bit better and what works. It's different for every person. So here are your 3 little assignments for the week. Number 1 is to read every ingredient label you can get your hands on. Even if you still decide to eat that thing, I just want you to start learning, just to start educating yourself, to start being curious about the things that like you're eating and doing, because if you're trying to be healthy, you may be trying a lot in the wrong direction and wasting a lot of effort and time. But the one way you could kind of cut through all of this stuff is to just start reading your ingredient label. Make sure you understand what it's saying. Make sure it's simple and normal and natural. Number 2 is that start to embrace this thought of quality, and your simplicity of food is more important than anything else. Any calories, carbs, counting, measuring, the quality and the simplicity of your food matters the most, because again, it's the thing that's going to be able to dictate whether your body can actually use what you're putting into it, or if it's just going to turn to fat because it has no idea how to use it, right? And number 3 is, so doing these 2 things, I think, are going to really help you start to tune in, right? To pay attention to how you're feeling, what your energy is like, what's your mood like, because food truly does affect all of those bigger things. And if you can, figure out a way to really get much more in tune with what's happening, you just start to know yourself better. It's so much easier to make decisions and so much easier to navigate the real world when you're doing this, right? So I know, why are you here, right? There's probably 3 different paths that you could be sitting here today. There's number 1, you could be just beginning on this journey and path to real food, meaning you're overwhelmed and confused. Number 2, you're sort of like in the middle, like you're not a newbie. You've learned, you've tried, you've done some stuff. Maybe you've done an elimination diet, or you know what real food is, but you're still frustrated, right? I hear you. Or number 3, you could be pretty advanced in this journey, but still consider yourself a work in progress, that you're still continuing to learn and grow more because you realize and you've connected how much of an impact food has on the rest of your life. So if it actually doesn't matter to me where you are, because I think there's one thing that just changes everything in this process. The thing that will really, I think, help most of you, really no matter where you're at, is you have to think about this and taking actual action. So the thing about food is that nobody is going to do this for you, right? Like learning about real food, you can't sort of trust diets, you can't trust marketing, you can't trust the general public. So it's actually your responsibility to take charge of this for yourself and to learn. I know it would be so much easier if we happened to learn about this in school, but truly, you're probably at this place now because of the things you've already learned by default, right? So it becomes this thing in a modern world that if you do want to live, such a vibrant and healthier life, and to have a better relationship to food, if that's one of your end goals, that you need to get an accurate picture of the things you actually need to know, the things you can ignore, and learning about food in an unbiased way, thinking of that as it's a life skill. And knowing about food and being able to be empowered by food is something that does totally affect everything else in your life. So I hope you guys can see that, even it doesn't matter what stage you're at, but having that eventual goal in mind to see how much food does have this power over everything else in your relationships. It has power over your work and your productivity and literally everything in life. But it's something, that you do have to kind of take the time and the effort and the energy to learn about and to teach yourself about. It's the most worth it thing to take the time to learn the details of real food so that you can apply it anywhere and for the rest of your life. It's literally like a tiny investment into yourself, into your future, and into everything that happens during the day. So also, food isn't going away anytime soon. So instead of running away from it or ignoring it or just trying to patchwork solve things with different diets, right? Of like, you have a crazy weekend or a really fun weekend full of lots of social events and stuff, and you want to enjoy and live your life. And then you get to like Monday, and then you're like, okay, it's time for a juice cleanse, right? That's not actually addressing the bigger key issue here is establishing like this like common foundation of food, so that you understand the what, why, where, and how of everything, no matter where you are. If you're at a bar, if you're at a restaurant, if you're traveling, if you're on the airplane, if you're on the go, it doesn't matter if you know and have this much more solid understanding as to like, figuring out food. So there are like two different ways to do this, right? And I say this if this is something that you're serious about doing, there is the long way to do it versus the condensed way. And my way at first was totally the long way. Like, I'm talking like more than 17 years of like trying and testing and experimenting and figuring out and messing up and feeling guilty and feeling bad and stalling and like just going through the entire thing, which is, I'm sure, where some of you are maybe at right now. There's also a more condensed way, right? So the dream totally would be like to be empowered by your food, right? And to not let it have power over you and over your entire life. So this used to be like, it really used to be that the only way that you could do something like this, like to figure out food, right? Once and for all, and be done with it so you can get on with the rest of your life. It used to be that you'd have to like either invest 1 million hours of yourself trying to read and learn and test and try things on your own, or to work with somebody to do it privately at really high-end prices, or to like join some sort of group program, right? Which I know isn't for anybody. So for those of you who are ready to like maybe take some action and clear the confusion around food, I have a better way for you. It's something I feel so passionate about, and being able to teach people this stuff in a way of like, everybody like should deserve to know this stuff, and doing it in a simplified, real life, everything you need to know kind of way, like once and for all, to actually like, you need to like kind of like go to school for food and have it be like a short, intensive thing to learn what you need to learn, right? So if you're interested in doing this, I created earlier this year like a way to hack this process, a way to hack my own journey and do this food thing smarter. So I created a little blueprint. So this comes from all my years of coaching and doing one-on-one work and group coaching and helping other people along the journey, along with my own journey, that I've been able to put it together in a much easier way to do and an on-the-go way, because I know life is busy, but I don't want that to be an excuse for why you haven't learned this stuff, right? This is the thing that will kind of change your life. So for those of you who are curious and want to like start to take more action on this, again, it doesn't matter if you're just starting out. This will save you so many years of your life and so much hassle and so much time. If you're in the middle, this will also help clarify and cut out all the things that are kind of weighing you down and stalling you from making actual progress and feeling like your best self. Or if this is something you've been doing forever, it doesn't matter. There are so many tips and tricks and ways to like make this concrete and simple and do it in a way that's like going to affect your life and do it in such a beautiful, big way. So the Food Academy is something that I created to do all of these things. And so if you're at the right point to like listen and actually start to take action on these things instead of just thought, right? There may be plenty that you learned from this webinar of like, maybe some things are totally brand new to you. If that's the case, like there's so much more like in detail and in depth that could just save you so much time and so much hassle. So I created a sort of one-of-a-kind experience for you if this is something that you're wanting to do and take action on. It's a fraction of the cost of a private group or group coaching, but it's at a pace you can do all at your own like timeline. So the Real Food Academy is a 3-week food school, which is totally portable and all at your own pace. It's a little online course to food happiness, to clear the confusion and the clutter and basically all the crap. It helps you clear the noise, right? To figure out the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how of food and how to make it work in your real life and have more joy. I honestly think like once you know these things and once you know the basic foundation, this is what enables you to start to have a better relationship to food, which is so important. Once you know this stuff, you will just have so much more like control and knowledge and power to create your own version of a healthy lifestyle and be able to just navigate anywhere you are. It's the most empowering thing that I have learned in my life. And so it's something that I want to share with you. So what's included in this? So there is a welcome podcast. Like I said, this is all based for, busy people on the go. I know, and that you can take this at your own time, your own pace, but still take action, right? Do it when you're driving to work, to and from work, or when you're, on a walk or working out or when you're cooking. I want this to be doable and actionable in your real everyday life. And it's not boring, I promise. The Food Academy also has a lifetime membership. So once you sign up, you always get the free bonus updates. You get lots of Inner Circle discounts and bonuses on different things like the meal plan and cookbook. You get all of these gorgeous printable handouts with healthier coffee and tea rituals, healthier cocktail recipes. You get detailed, printable grocery store maps you can take to any grocery store to know what and when to, where to buy things, where they're located in the store. You get a healthy pantry and kitchen staples list, a swap this for that guide, a way to like have all your favorite treats, but do it in an upgraded way. Also includes a healthy breakfast and brunch guide, a green smoothie recipe and guide. There's 4 private cooking videos on the 4 basic skills of like making a soup, dressing, roasting smoothies. And you also get lifetime access for questions and help and this sort of amazing community of people who are all kind of doing the same thing. You get lifetime updates too with brand new recipes and podcasts and info as it gets updated. As I go every year, I will continue to update it. And seasonal bonuses and private discounts. You also get personal access to me for help and questions that maybe you don't feel comfortable asking in the forum. So this is really like the inner circle, the people who are committed and wanting to take some action in their life and learn about this stuff once and for all. So how it works is really easy. You sign up. You will immediately get a welcome email and your little welcome podcast that kind of takes you through what to expect and the best and easiest ways to kind of do this. Then you get week 1's podcast and you get recipes. And so these are recipes that are different from the cookbook. They're brand new. They're sort of seasonal to what's happening at the time. And you get all your handouts to kind of get you started and give you ideas and little checklists. Just super organized. This is the total like blueprint way to learn about food. And it's everything that I have ever learned packaged together in a way that is beautiful and makes sense, and that you can access anytime. So you will get a login. You'll be able to log into the system. So you can always listen to these recordings. You can always get the recipes. You can always download the handouts again. And again, get the updates as they go. Then a week later, you'll get week 2's podcast or the access to it, the recipes, the handouts, etc. Then after another week, you get week 3 and so on. So they are there, even if you can't get to them necessarily week 1, week 2, week 3, you will always have access to that. And being able to like log in anytime throughout the year. You need a little extra boost, you need some encouragement, you need some inspiration as to why you're doing this, what real food is and how you're, we all go through times where maybe you need a little refresher. So I wanted to make sure to definitely include this. So this has been like a fun thing just to, I originally sort of launched this back in September and, it's something that people have like now been, I get emails every day of like, okay, this is crazy. Like more people need to know this. Like my mind is blown. I thought I was a healthy eater. And doing it in a way that is simple right? And easy to understand. And I love this one. She said, I love the encouragement to enjoy your food more, not become the healthy food police. You know, still being able to do and enjoy all the things that you love, but do it in a way that's also, you're not sacrificing how you feel. So today, for those of you that are here on this call, I told you there was a special bonus. So this is something, if you're here, I just want to honor and like thank you so much for spending time and continually investing in yourself and being curious about this food thing and how much it can really bring so much more light to your life and so much more energy and joy and enable you to do the things that you want to do. That's truly the mission here. So the Food Academy is normally $297, which is, again, for life, right? You just pay it once and you get all the free updates and the free community and free access to me, everything that you want. But for the next 48 hours only. So if you're on this call, if you're listening to this right now live, so for the next 48 hours, if you sign up, you will also get a free week of the fall meal plan. And you get a bonus holiday recipe guide. So I put together all my favorite holiday recipes for you, the healthy stuff, the easy stuff, things you can share and bring to parties, or if you're hosting any events, everything from cocktails to desserts to side dishes to little appetizers. So again, in the next 48 hours, if you sign up, I just want to give you these special bonuses and help love and support you, especially as we go into this season, right, in November through the holidays. Any season in your life, this is going to be something that's going to pay you back millions and millions of time over and save you so much money and so much headache and so much hassle. So I just want to encourage you, if you need that extra little boost, this is something that is, again, like a one-time thing, and it's literally the tiniest fraction of the cost of doing one-on-one work or doing a full group program. This is like the goods, right? This is the gold, all the stuff that you need, 3 easy weeks, and you'll kind of have it all dialed in. Plus, if you sign up, again, in the next 2 days, you get 20%. You get a little 20% off code for the Simply Real Health cookbook. So again, gifts, holiday season. I don't need to say much more about that, but you can totally, I've never ever done a sale or never ever discounted the book for any of my people. So you get a little bonus code there. So, and again, for daily inspiration, if you're not already there, I am on Instagram and Facebook at Simply Real Health, and then Twitter and Pinterest at Simply Real Health, but minus the I, so SMPLY, Real Health. Just posting little ideas. So that maybe how some of you found out about this. If not, I just usually have a daily tip, almost every day on something like little or fun that you can be doing to get, just this healthy life made simple. So thank you so much for tuning in today, you guys. I so appreciate you being here and taking the time to be on this call. And again, I hope you found it incredibly helpful. You got some little tidbits. You learned something useful or inspiring for your own life. And if you have any questions that we didn't get to or don't have time to cover in the little Q&A session, please feel free to send me an email just to hello@simplyrealhealth.com. I'm more than happy to answer it, whether it's something about the Food Academy itself or anything else that we talked about today. I am more than happy to answer that. So I just put the link, if you guys are curious, if you're wanting to go to that page, if you're ready to sign up, I'll also send an email out right after this call. And so you guys can take advantage of it if it's something that you feel you're called to, that you're interested in. But again, thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. You're amazing. And I really would love to spend a few minutes and answer any questions that you might have. So let me know if you have any questions. Just stay in the chat box and I will hang out a little bit and answer them. And look for the email in your inbox if this is something that you're curious about. Thanks so much, you guys. Okay. All right. Oh, Stephanie asked a great question. She said, can we get the bonuses if you've already done the Food Academy? Yes, of course. Totally. I'm going to be sending, so as soon as this goes out to everybody, people who have already done it, then of course you get the bonuses. Yeah, told you, you're insider. Anybody else have questions, thoughts? Yeah. Okay, great. Yes. So if you do sign up, you will get the welcome email immediately. So you can actually start anytime you want. The week 1 podcast and recipes information will come right after that. So I think like maybe an hour later, and then you can jump in really anytime that you want to, and then have full access. Okay, Julia asked a question. What are your thoughts on incorporating protein powders into your diet? So great question, Julia. There are, in general, you want to just follow like your 1 ingredient rule. Like if you look at the protein powder ingredients, it's not just protein powder like itself is healthy or unhealthy. It just matters what's in it. So there are a few protein powders that are normal, natural, like 1 ingredient. So there's one called Sun Warrior protein, and getting the natural version, not the flavored kinds, like not the chocolate or vanilla. The natural version, it's like just organic hemp protein, a little bit of pea protein, and that's it. You really want to stay away from whey protein, stay away from soy protein. Those are super processed. You want to stay away from ones that have sweeteners added to it, even things like stevia. Supplements can be a little bit tricky, and I would put protein powders in the category of supplements because there's even less regulation around supplements than there are with food. So you want to make sure that that's something that you're just checking out, looking for the quality and simple, normal, natural ingredients. And then protein powder can be a good thing if you feel like you need a little bit more substance to your diet, or it can be something that maybe like a lot of people maybe don't need. Annie asked a great question. She said, do you have any recommendations for how to maintain this type of lifestyle while out at dinner happy hour? Yes, Annie, totally. This is everything we get into in the Food Academy. I talk literally about dinner, about happy hour, about like this type of lifestyle, how it applies, what are your favorite foods, what are the things that you love and bring you joy and enjoyment. It makes it so much easier to go out and participate in life as opposed to harder. Like when you're doing a diet or a program or a plan, it makes it really hard to go out because you have these very sort of restrictive rules. When you're looking at things like in a real food lens, well, when you go out, everything is made usually from scratch, right? So that means that it's most likely real food, again, depending on the type of place that you're going to. So then it becomes learning like what foods and food categories you do best with and figuring out what that is and what that process is. Really, that's where you start to get that clarity and freedom and joy with food. Once you understand what it is, you understand what to look for, it makes it really simple and clear cut and easy, no matter where you are in the world, to figure out the best choices and the things that are gonna, that you'll love and enjoy no matter where you are. Okay, great question. Carrie asked, are the recipes different in the program from your cookbook? Yes, Carrie, they are totally different. So I know a lot of you guys have the cookbook already, so this is entirely different, much more on the education side and much more like on the seasonal recipes that are gonna help you now. And Lisa said, what are your thoughts on vitamins? So vitamins are in this supplement category. So really, you want to make sure that you're getting a high quality source of supplements or vitamins and making sure that you're only taking the things that you need. I think truly like your body actually absorbs so many more nutrients and minerals and everything that you need through food directly. A lot of times with vitamins and supplements, it's like it's not a true form of that vitamin. It's in a way that our body can't absorb it. So a lot of times it means you like excrete it, right? You like pee it all out, and it can be sort of a waste of money, especially with things like multivitamins. However, like there are some cases to like take some things, so, a few different supplements that I would recommend that I do talk about in the Food Academy a little bit more in detail. But overall, it's much more about the quality of the supplements and the source of where it comes from, and figuring out whether it's something that your body actually needs a little bit of help and support in, rather than just like taking stuff across the board, from a place that doesn't have high quality stuff. So that would be the thing to think about. Okay, Carrie asked a great question. She said, which foods should you buy organically and which ones is organic not needed? Carrie, this is covered in depth totally in the Food Academy. So along with like the Dirty Dozen, there are a few different types of foods that like definitely you should do organic. Corn is one of them, any type of corn product, any type of soy product, although I recommend not doing soy really at all. And things that come from an animal, right, should definitely be organic as opposed to not. But yeah, we go into that in all detail. If those are the kinds of questions that you guys have floating around in your head, you would love the Food Academy. Literally covers all of that in depth. Okay, next question from Valerie. She said, what are your 1 to 2 tips on tuning into your body and recognizing and following your own hunger and satiety cues? So again, this is everything that we cover and talk about in the Food Academy itself. In order to do that, you have to be on real food first, right? And that being the primary basis, because then your body's a lot more stable. Your blood sugar is a lot more stable. You can actually tell what true hunger is instead of like blood sugar crashes and cravings. So that has to be the first piece. And so in week 3, we go into this a lot more of like, okay, what does that mean? What is hunger? How do you know? How can you tell? How can you tell how different foods affect you? It's everything that we kind of cover. Okay, I just have 1 more minute. Does anybody have any other questions? I'm just scrolling down here. See if anybody had stuff as we were going through. Okay, I don't think so. Anybody have any more questions? It's your last chance. No. No. Okay, well, be on the lookout for that email. I'm going to send that out right now so you guys have it. And thank you so much for being here today. I love you all so much, and so appreciate you taking the time and the space to hear about these things and learn and grow and just really be like the best version of yourself as possible. Thank you so much, you guys. I love you. Bye.